Postcard Bandit back in the news.
Brenden Abbott is the Houdini of Australia's criminal underworld, a prolific armed robber who escaped from jail twice and then hit the headlines when he was apparently taunting police by sending them postcards whilst on the run, hence the nickname. They're filming a TV series about him right now. Abbott's like a mix of Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption, Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can, and Robert De Niro in Heat. And he's trying an innovative new way to break out of prison.
What's that?
He's using the courts.
It's the vibe of it.
This guy's got more front than mine.
Armed robbers always have a bit of swagger about them. It's why Hollywood loves them so much.
Little hand says it's time to rock and roll. Everybody freeze!
Old Man of the Gun, Inside Man, Den of Thieves, The Bank Job, The Italian Job, Bandits, Dog Day Afternoon. There's dozens, probably hundreds of them. The truth about Brenden Abbott's story is stranger than the fiction of Hollywood, though. He ended up robbing banks, but started off his criminal career in the mid-80s stealing electrical goods from retail showrooms.
Vox 80, the only place to go for a national 670-watt silent power vacuum cleaner, now $185.
Fridges, freezers, dishwashers, vacuums. He and his gang were stealing to order and selling the goods for a third of the RRP. So that 67-watt silent power vacuum cleaner would have gone for just $60.
Vox 80, we'll see you right.
It's like the 1980s threw up on that ad. Anyway, one of those heists landed Abbott in a police interview room on December 16, 1986. We know all about this because it's detailed in a series of books about Abbott which were written by a crime reporter named Derek Pedley. The cops at the station back then make Abbott a cup of tea, and while they're talking in the next room, he realises they've left the door unlocked.
And like that, he's gone.
That was his first kind of unofficial escape. They eventually got him and chucked him in Fremantle Prison, one of the hardest jails in Australia. In 1989, Abbott hatches a plan to escape using an ingenious disguise. It was actually a prison guard uniform. Over the next 6 years on the lam, he robbed dozens of banks in 3 states and stole millions. That's when reports emerged that he was taking the piss out of the cops by sending them postcards.
Except he wasn't.
No, the cops put the postcard thing out there to generate media publicity so people might recognise him. And it worked, because this guy was in the headlines more than I am. Detectives found him in Queensland. They threw him back in jail over there. 3 years later, Abbott escapes again. He's on the run for another 6 months before the 5-0 managed to track him down.
And then a long stretch.
Very, very long stretch. 18 years in a Queensland jail. That's literally more than you get for murder. And then in 2016, he was extradited to WA, where he was thrown in Casuarina to serve another 14 years. His lawyer, Matthew Crowley, is now arguing in the Supreme Court that Abbott shouldn't have to serve extra time for escaping from Fremantle Jail. Crowley's making the point that those particular sentencing laws were passed in 1996, which was 7 years after Abbott freed himself by impersonating a prison guard. If he wins, he's home free age 63.
And if he loses?
Well, unless he's had a hacksaw up his arse for the past 35 years, he'll be banged up until 2030 at least. I'm Ben Harvey.